Hey dreamers, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I want to share the books that I read in February with you all. And I am still, as I said, doing trial and error, filling things out. But I know that I wanted to do complete entire spreads for the books that I love the most throughout the month. And then I have since decided, because I wasn't going to do this at all, but I have since decided to do like just many tiny blurbs about the other books that I read throughout the month. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing here. And then I do need to do my February wrap up and stats and all of that kind of stuff. And I couldn't decide whether to just put it all together or do separate videos. But I eventually landed on doing separate videos since this is what I'm looking at it and it's like 15 minutes. So, yeah. So the first book that I want to highlight is Seduce Me at Sunrise by Lisa Kleypas. Kleypas, still not sure how to say her last name. She writes historical romance fiction, and her writing style is just so beautiful, so exquisite. I love the detail and everything. So if you've not given her a try, I implore you to do so. I ended up giving this book a 5 star, of course, because it was that good. It is the second book in the Hathaway series. The first one is Mine Till Midnight and tells the story of Amelia Hathaway, which is the oldest sister in the Hathaway clan. Then you also have the brother Leo. I do believe Leo is older than Amelia, but she is the oldest sister. This is a story of Winifred Hathaway, and she is the second oldest sister. However, she is a little bit sickly. She ended up catching scarlet fever, and she never fully recovered. This is also the story of Kev Maripin, who is basically their adoptive brother. The family found him beat up and hurt when he was a child, and they brought him in so he could recover. And while the rest of the Hathaways have accepted Maripin as a fellow sibling, his relationship with Winifred has always been deeper. It's always been more. He's loved her from the first moment he heard her voice as a kid. But they're grown now. Winifred is healed, and he is having trouble accepting that and believing in that, and he doesn't want to do anything that could cause her harm. So the push and pull of her wanting to now be seen as a grown healthy woman, and him still seeing her as that sickly girl that he had to take care of and protect, is a conundrum. Let's just put it that way. So the way I decorated, I used the AI generator. Can I speak? The AI generator, and just came up with some images that kind of went with the book. Like, they use horses and carriages, of course. They live in this nice estate that actually, I'm not going to tell you what happened to it. Um, you'll just have to read the books so you can find out for yourself. And then, of course, I kind of came up with this image of Mary Penn. I am doing that in air quotes, and Winifred down there at the bottom. And it just works. It went perfect or whatever, because Maripin is actually Romani. So there's a lot of bias and prejudice against him, especially here across the pond. And I've heard in this day and age, there's still a lot of nastiness and prejudice against Romney people across the pond. So I can't imagine what it actually was like in this time period here. So yeah, and I just wanted to fill that white space in, so I'm pulled out a sticker from the Beautifully Lined collection by Live Love Posh, and I'm trimming that down just a little bit. I think I will use that extra piece over at the top there on the right side of the page, or find some place to put it. Of course, I had to pull the title up a little bit, but it all got placed fine, or whatever I should say. I did not have enough space to get everything down. I was trying to write the quote down there at the bottom. But moving on, the next book that I read for February that I wanted to highlight was Rot and Ruin by Jonathan Mayberry. Now, I've actually read this book years and years ago. I think it came out in 2010, and this was around the time, like, of the height of the dystopian novel revolution, I should say, like the Hunger Games and what's the one with Insurgent, all of that kind of stuff. And I do believe that this kind of came out around that same time. I actually remember loving this book so much. I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars my first go round. And I have the entire series on my shelf. I just never got around to reading the rest of the series. So I was like, it's finally time to dust those books off and get them all read. But I decided that I should probably go back and reread Rotten Ruin to refamiliarize myself with the story. So, in the zombie infested post apocalyptic America where Benny Mira lives, and teenager must find a job by the age of 15 or get their rations cut in half. Benny doesn't want to apprentice as a zombie hunter with his boring older brother Tom, but he has no choice. He expects a tedious job whacking zombies for cash. But what he gets is a vocation that will teach him what it means to be human. I'm happy to say that for me, this story stands the test of time. I remember really, really loving it when I read it the first time. I still really, really love it. I did drop it down 1 star simply because I feel like after reading it now, and versus back in like 2010 or something like that, it seemed just a little bit preachy to me, and it was also kind of corny in some areas, which there's nothing wrong with that. It just wasn't my cup of tea this go round. So you have Benny Emir, who trains with his brother, who takes him out into the rotten ruin to show him what he does, because he has this misguided understanding that basically he's just going to be going out there and whacking zombies. But Tom does what he does in a different kind of way. He is more what they call a closure specialist. So people hire him to do a job when they are ready to have their family that they know have turned into zombies silenced, or what do they call it? I forget what they call it, quieted in the book. And so Tom, I love him so much. He is my favorite character. He is a badass with that katana blade. I mean, he is just chef's kiss. And so he brings a level of humanity and dignity and integrity to the whole closure specialist thing, which I really appreciate. And he really views these people, or these former people, as not just monsters, because they were humans. They had family, they had friends, they had whole personalities and lives before what happened, and he acknowledges that and honors that, and I really, really enjoy Tom for that. So it's a kind of a different take on zombies, and how people just view them as these creepy monsters or whatever. And so I really appreciate that. Anyway, I'm wrapping this one up, and I will move on to the next one. And so now I am highlighting, this is my last complete spread for a highlighted book for the month, is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Demon. And I ended up giving it 5 stars. I love this so much. It was cute, it was funny, it was quick, and was very lighthearted, which is what I loved about it, or whatever. I have read some of the ratings, or not the ratings, I have read some reviews for it, and people are very, very nitpicky about, oh, it's fantasy, it can't do this, it can't do that. I'm like, it's a book, it's fiction and fantasy, which means it can be anything you want it to be. I don't know. Like the way people just put these ridiculous rules on what a book should or has to be is weird to me. But can we give it up for this cover? It is so beautiful. Oh my god. All of the books in this series, the Mead Mishap series, by Kimberly Lemon, and it usually starts off That Time I type of thing. This is the first one, and I've been looking forward to reading this for a long time. I was trying to buy it when it actually had been self-published, and when I went to buy it, it had been picked up by a imprint publisher, and so it was unavailable to actually buy and get for a reasonable price. So when Barnes and Noble had it on sale for pre-order, I snapped it up. And so the concept is Cinnamon wants to live a boring and uneventful life following a tragedy from her past, but when she unknowingly saves Fallon, a demon, those plans fly out the window. Against her better judgment, she sets out on a quest to help Fallon free the realm from a centuries old witch who's been basically holding them hostage for years. The chemistry and banter between the two main characters is chef's kiss. I love it. The only thing I can say I didn't like about this book so much, which is ironic considering the title, is how much they reference drinking and getting drunk. And it's like, okay, there is not that much alcohol in the world. Give it a rest, you know. But other than that, I enjoyed this story tenfold. I cannot wait to get into the second story, which is the time I got drunk and yeeted a love potion at a werewolf. I believe is the second one, and then there will be the third one I will get into, but I do need to buy it anyway. As far as decorating this cover, I found, like, I guess fan art of the story anyway, and I decided to use that. I made them into stickers, and I'm using these Bloom ephemera by, I can't remember the name of the company. I do not remember the name of the company. It is escaping me at this moment. However, anything that I use in the making of all of these spreads, you know that if I can find a link for it, it will be in the description box below. I feel like this is something that you can still get, like it's still available, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, I just am using it basically to accent it and kind of give the feeling of this story. Is just so much fun, like the fantasy and the atmosphere and everything like that. And so I also pulled in some colors that kind of go with the colors in the book, which is that teal color. And then the demon turns into this dragon. I hope I'm not spoiling that for anybody. I mean, it's really not that big a deal. You find out soon enough. And then also, the family that Cinnamon comes from is a spice family. So basically, all the kids are named after some kind of spice. So I found these pieces of cinnamon and also made them into stickers and just kind of scattered them around the page as well. And then I'm getting my information in. I am stamping and listen, this little gold pen here, I love it so much. And I brought in a very light purple color to kind of match those purple tones in the flowers that you see peeking out there. To go with like the blues and the greens and teals and all that kind of stuff in there, because purple and green is such a nice color combination. And so I'm just getting my entries written in again. I love this book. I am very much looking forward to reading the second book, and I kind of can't wait for that. So I do need to go ahead and get to the bookstore and grab that. I am just going to do an outline on the edge of the page with this gold Pentel sunburst pen. I wanted to use a thicker gold pen, but I cannot find my gold like acrylic pens and markers and stuff like that. So I had to go with what I had in my stash. And so now I'm just getting the other books that I read through the month down. There were three more books, so I had six in total for the month of February. The first one, and I actually mixed up the order. I actually read Defiant Heart first, but I'm going to end up doing that second. But Covet is the first one that I add up there. I gave that 4 stars. This is the Fallen Angel series by J.R. Ward, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. The first one was covered. It is basically about this guy who passes away, and he is sent back to Earth as a what do you call it? I don't know. He's basically on the side. There's like this tug of war between hell and heaven, and who's gonna win or whatever. And so basically, he has to help people and win the war for heaven. This is a very very basic way to put it, or whatever. And so the story of him trying to do that with this guy named Vin DiPietro was very interesting. I enjoyed it. I love the way J.R. Ward kind of weaves a story together. And so yeah, I have already picked up the second book from the library, which is Crave, and I'm looking forward to getting into that. The other book I read was Defiant Heart by Brighton Walsh. I gave this 3 stars. I mean, it was just okay. I was kind of annoyed by both of the main characters. You have the grumpy sheriff or whatever, and then you have the hippie Luna. I can't even remember. I think that's her name. And I didn't care for her very much. She's one of those types that is thumbs her nose at authority or whatever, and does protests and stuff like that, chains herself to trees and all that kind of stuff. And I just, the entitlement and privilege of it just was reeking off of the pages for me, just because she can do that. She never really had to work a day in her life. Her family is very wealthy, very rich, and her father is a lawyer, so any of the shenanigans that she gets herself into, he can get her off. And it was just, I was like, whatever. And The next was Replay by Amy Dawes. I gave this 2 stars. Very surprised I didn't like this because I loved the one about this girl's brother. It was a lot of info dumps about characters from earlier versions of, like, it's a series of this, and it was too much. And then the female main character was overly insecure. If you are a fan or have been watching the latest season of Love and Blind, think Chelsea from Love is Blind. Constant needs constant validation, constant insecurity. It was a mess. Did not like it very much. So, yeah, moving on. Anyway, that pretty much wraps this up. If you have any comments or questions about anything, please leave those below. I trust that you all have been safe and well, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye.